On this episode of MythBusters, get ready to saddle up and ride out.
We put Old West myths to the test.
Adam and Jamie are given the okay to corral some classic cowboy capers.
I love that.
Can you take someone's hat off with a bullet? Can you bust your buddy out of jail with old-fashioned horsepower? Or do you need something with a little more kick?
Danger! Warning! Warning!
3, 2.
Meanwhile,
Yes!
Carrie, Tori, and Grant are on a collision course with a modern motoring myth.
Are you getting frustrated?
Frustration,
Because
yes.
I am.
Can an airbag turn a lockpick into a skull-cleaving spear? Who are the MythBusters? Adam Savage
Danger is my middle name.
and Jamie Heineman.
Their behavior, we're going to make you into a coat.
Between them, over 30 years special effects experience. Joining them, Tori Belleci, Carrie Byron,
Don't try what you're about to see at home.
and Grant Imahara.
He's alive!
They don't just tell the myths, they put them to the test. Now that's what I call a quick draw.
Adam, what are you doing?
What do we got?
Well, it looks like you already know. We've got Wild West myths.
Excellent. Like what?
Well, like you shoot somebody's hat off with a gun.
You're gonna shoot my hat off?
I'm going to shoot your hat off.
Oh, can we break out of jail?
That's the other one.
Yes, I've always wanted to do that.
Yippee-ki-yay.
You wanted to see Adam and Jamie strap on their chaps? So you got it. The guys are gonna circle the wagons and throw themselves into busting some frontier-style fables.
All right, so which one do we start with?
Let's start with the hats.
It's perhaps the most famous Wild West cliche, as predictable as a stoush in a saloon. Right in the middle of some Western movie mayhem, a shot is fired and a cowboy's hat is gone with the wind. Is it true grit or just Hollywood gun smoke and mirrors?
Okay, I can see us needing some period-correct hats, some period-correct guns, and period-correct ammo.
Okay, well, I'll track down the guns and the ammo. Why don't you deal with the hats?
Adam's got a fistful of dollars. He's going to do just that.
We've come to the expert. Bill here at Golden Gate Western Wear in Pleasant Hill, California, should be able to answer all of my questions.
Bill's hats match those worn by cowboys in the late 19th century. Back in that golden age, hats were made from wool or beaver felt. It was a time when men were men. The beavers were nervous.
But this is a style that was the most popular cowboy
This
hat.
was?
1870s, 1880s.
Somebody ought to belt you in
Bill's even got a replica of the Duke's own crowning glory.
the hell I was.
And this is typical of what John Wayne wore. And we've stained it. We've got the cavalry cord on there just like his. So. And you notice it's a very tall crown.
Yeah.
Substantial felt.
It's a beautiful
So
hat.
it gives you a big target in the top there.
After posing as a hat stand, Adam chooses 8 classic cowboy hats. 4 wool, 4 beaver. But as keen as he is to try them on, he's decided he won't be under them when the bullets start blasting.
Not that I don't trust you. I know you're a good shot, but I don't want to let you shoot a hat off my head. I think we should have a ballistics material head, and I think that both Grant and I have done our service as cast heads, and it's time to make a mold of your head.
I got no problem with that.
Good.
Jamie takes a seat on the casting couch while Adam prepares to tar and feather him.
This is basically the same stuff that the dentist uses to cast your teeth. It's seaweed-based. Water's the binder. This is gonna get drippy. You ready? So come on over here, Jess, and help me keep it up on Jamie. It's like it's gonna drip down past his shoulders. Don't get it near his mouth.
The alginate goes on like campfire beans.
All right, doing your left eye, Jamie.
Only his mouth is left uncovered so he can breathe.
He's like the incredible melting man.
It's an uncomfortable, claustrophobic process. He has to spend nearly half an hour cocooned in his seaweed face mask.
I'm gonna slice up the back of your head. Here goes. We're gonna start peeling this off. Here, oh, it's good, it's good. Is it moving? Uh-huh. Watch clear his ears. Excellent. Ears off here. And you're free. Excellent. You can go get cleaned up.
That was kind of unpleasant.
The alginate deteriorates quickly, and Adam has to race the clock to get the ballistic bust finished. But a few cracks are starting to appear.
This whole thing is going crazy on me.
With time running out, he sticks the mold together using silicone and straps.
Complete failure.
But all the king's horses and all the king's men won't be able to rescue Adam this time. As he pours the molten ballistics gel, the mold cracks like an egg.
You wanna get me some foiled tape?
And the yolk's on him.
Pretty much total failure in every way possible.
I haven't failed this badly in a long time.
It's all right, Adam. It's been said that when they made Jamie, they broke the mold. You've just gone and done it again.
It's sort of been a big wasted effort as far as I'm concerned. The casting was no good. The mold is no good. It's like nothing's any good. Adam knows how to do it. He just didn't do it in this case. That's not too terribly mean,
No,
is
that's
it?
exactly what I probably would say.
So now, it'll be Grant's battered ballistics bust after all staring down the barrel of this cowboy myth.
All right, let's cut.
Now it's over to the good, the bad, and the ugly. I'll let you decide who's who.
Okay, so lockpick of death, what is that?
This one's actually an airbag myth. Scenario is a guy's breaking into a car using one of those flat lockpicks. Triggers the side airbag. The airbag explodes, launching the lockpick through his skull.
Sweet. Sweet.
It's another story from that font of urban legend, the famous MythBusters fan site. A would-be car thief is using a lockpick to break into a car. While poking around inside the door, he unwittingly triggers the side airbag, which expands with such force, the lockpick becomes a missile, and the thief suddenly finds himself picking his own brain. Get ready for a MythBuster tale full of exploding airbags, skullduggery,
As long as they're legal, we're happy.
and udon noodles.
Well, that looks a little like brain, doesn't it? Well, I think we should learn, first of all, how to pick a car lock. Do either of you know how to do that already?
No.
Well, short of getting a criminal, I think maybe we should see if a fireman can help us out, because I know they have to pick locks to get into cars.
The guys are going on a fact-finding mission.
We need to learn how to use a lockpick, and we hear you can teach us.
Well, we do have some cars over here, and we do have some tools. Let's see if we can actually get in.
Excellent. Let's do it.
Cool.
At the Livermore Pleasanton Fire Department's training facility, firemen do take lock-picking lessons. And while we're not allowed to show you how it's done, the MythBusters take careful note of the technique.
All right, Matt, you want to give it a shot? Sure.
So you are leaning directly over the lockpick as you're trying to get in the car.
It's worth noting, too, that these guys don't practice this on vehicles with side airbags, just in case.
I mean, if you were leaning over that tool and the airbag went off, I could see how that thing would launch up into your neck.
This demonstration shows that a person using a lockpick would be in the correct position to be impaled.
Almost got it.
Hey! Outstanding.
Nice.
Excellent.
But would an airbag really go off with a big enough bang to send that tool through your skull?
We have a driver's airbag out of a small vehicle, and I put a traffic cone on it so we can see it a little bit better going up in the air, and we're going to launch it. Do not try this at home.
The airbag's rigged for remote ignition.
Everybody ready?
Hey, we're ready.
All right. 3, 2, 1.
Run!
Good shot.
The leading edge of this bag is coming at you about 500 miles an hour. It's deploying in about 1/4 of a millisecond, and then it deflates almost immediately.
These are the airbags that come out of the steering wheel. Now, what are the difference between these and the side ones that come out of the door?
Side airbags will be deploying about 4 times faster than these are.
Now that we gotta see.
3, 2, 1.
Oh, yes!
That cone's out of the park.
That was a good one.
It's fantastic.
Oh, yes!
Got any more of those?
Oh, I wish. That was cool.
How cool was that? I mean, those airbags must have shot the cones like 50 feet in the air.
Well, yeah, that's because technically they are explosives, which is ironic because they're meant to save your life, but they go off right in your face. But what happens is sensors on the car detect a crash, they ignite the airbag, which inflates a nylon fabric bag full of gas in a split second.
One thing's for sure, these firefighters have failed to hose down speculation about this myth.
These things are powerful. I mean, I could see how this whole thing might work.
All right, let's get going.
You can get some lockpicks on the way home.
When a cowboy's hat takes a bullet in Hollywood, it takes flight like a startled bird. Does the science stack up, or are those hats flying in the face of physics? Our own Butch and Sundance aim to find out.
Are you ready?
And as we know, the MythBusters always feel right at home on the range.
What happened? He must be Frank.
That's my name.
Frank Tabor is a Wild West firearms aficionado.
Good morning.
How you
Frank's wagon contains an arsenal of archaic weapons.
This is a 4440 Colt. This is an 1888 manufacturer Smith & Wesson top brace. This is a Colt Pump Lightning. This one's about 1900.
Has anyone ever shot your hat off?
One time I was at a competition and my hat blew down range and everybody online shot it to pieces. Just blew it up.
Frank has bought so many options for us, from long rounds, short rounds, black powder, smokeless, rifles.
Let's do it.
Our Hollywood hard guys use handguns, so Adam and Jamie select an 1860 Army Colt revolver. If that doesn't work, they'll try a Winchester lever-action rifle.
I love that.
The weapons are authentic. The 8 target hats match those worn by real cowboys in the real Wild West.
Nice high crown. Should be easy to shoot and miss the head. You ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
That's pretty darn good. All right. You want to take the first shot?
Sure.
First up, the oldest firearm, the revolver.
Range is hot.
That was perfect. Right through the top.
Didn't take it off.
No, it cocked it a little bit to the side.
The bullet left the muzzle at 750 feet per second. In bullet terms, that's not fast. But it was still fast enough to drill a neat hole straight through the crown.
You got a lot of leverage out of that. See, the bullet went in here and tore out through the top. Again, it was moving a lot of material. Okay, here comes the Winchester.
Nice shot.
Look at that, right through the center. That did not budge the hat. It could not be a more perfect shot.
The hat didn't take off, but it's way too early to call it busted.
This is the Charles Bronson Once Upon a Time in the West hat. You ready?
Ready. Range is hot.
Hey! You knocked the hat off!
Hang on, guys. Let's see the movie footage again. Bullets send these hats sky high. Jamie's shot was slightly less spectacular.
Your hit could not have been more perfect. You went through more material of that hat than any of our hits before. You went through the brim, through the brim, through the brim, and through the brim.
Yeah, but it kind of like fell off sideways.
Yeah, but if you're the guy wearing this hat and someone shoots at you, you're gonna say he shot my hat off.
Spurred on,
Find the red lady. Find the red lady, it pays $20.
our gunslingers take pot shots at their whole hat collection.
Right between the eyes.
But those brims hardly budge. And the reason is simple. When it strikes the hat, a small projectile traveling at around 1,000 feet per second doesn't encounter enough resistance and rips straight through the material. So the question is, what does it take to flip the lid on this myth? Time to pelt the felt with something a little more powerful. Now that's more like what we see on the silver screen.
All the pellets went in here. All the pellets came out there.
The birdshot sprays out at a slower speed, striking a larger surface area. The force is enough to make hat and head part company. There's one tiny problem.
But it doesn't quite leave you able to tell the tale. I mean...
Looks like he's got an acne problem right now.
The dummy's forehead looks like a lunar landscape.
Oh, I think that's a record.
That hat is gone. He's definitely not going around going, and then he shot the hat right off my head. Because it'll also be like, then he shot the top of my head right off my head.
It's looking like this first cowboy myth might need to be run out of town on a rail.
Yeah, you know, that was fun. We culled from 15 guns down to the 3 we thought were most likely. We had 8 different hats, some 25 to 30 different shooting tests.
Yep, and the only one that consistently shot off the hat was a shotgun.
Yeah, but I think that's it's going a little far to say it shot off the hat, because I believe a good portion of your head would be going with that hat. I think we can definitively say that the movie myth that someone can fire a gun and your hat flies off your head, totally busted.
Could an expanding airbag send a lockpick through a person's skull?
2, 1.
Well, we've seen an airbag launch a traffic cone weighing several pounds. So what might it do to a thin sliver of metal?
In order to test this myth, we're gonna need to get some car doors with side airbags, and we'll get some lock picks and see if we can set off the airbags with them.
Yeah, but if this actually works, I think it'll be too dangerous for any of us to do.
Even for him?
Yeah, even for him. I think we should make a robot.
A robot? That's an original.
Shocking. I would have never guessed you wanted to build a robot.
Yeah. Well, hey, we don't have any trained monkeys, so we're gonna have to use a robot.
I don't know about no trained monkeys, but here's what we might loosely call the plan. Grant will build a pair of remote-controlled hands to operate the lockpick. A ballistics material baddie boasting a real human skull will be leaning over the tool. When the airbag deploys, we'll see whether it's curtains for our car thief. While Grant gets to grips with his robotic robber,
Danger, Will Robinson, danger! Warning, warning!
Carrie's going headhunting.
To properly test the lockpick of death myth, I really feel like I need a real human skull. A casting just isn't going to give me the same sort of information. So, come to the bone room, because I know that they have a lot of skulls here. Do you think it's possible for a lockpick to be shot through a human head, just from the force of an airbag?
There's parts on the skull that are fairly delicate. You know, the nose, inside the eyes, but underneath is pretty solid.
Yeah, this is, you know, there's a lot more here than I'd expected.
Yeah, I mean, your brain's pretty well protected.
Now she's going to make like the Wizard of Oz and give him a brain.
This is sort of a gory myth, the idea of a lockpick shooting through your head. So I'm gonna make a little bit of blood and a little bit of brain that I can stuff up into this cavity here. And that way, whoops, he's fine. If the skull gets damaged anyway, we'll know.
Carrie mixes up some fake blood, and for the old gray matter...
Come on, that looks a little like brain, doesn't it? Just a little.
Now that's using your noodle. When Carrie's finished filling his head with nonsense...
Brains are made of noodles.
She puts the skull inside the Grant mold.
I think this skull might have been a little bigger than Grant's head.
And pours ballistic gel around it.
I just can't tell if it's leaking out or not.
Meanwhile, the real Grant is still wrestling with his robot.
Lockpick sits right here in between two grippy hands with ballistics material fingers. Those are held securely in 2 linear actuators that will move basically in a straight line like this or angling like that.
So we've got a ballistics gel car thief complete with human skull.
Yeah!
And we've got a remote-controlled lock-picking robot. Now, we just need a car to break into.
Are we sure that the airbags in here are actually operational?
I think they've already been set off, to be honest.
No, Tori, the side airbag hasn't been deployed. We just don't know if it can still fire. Mechanic Thomas Hannon runs a complete diagnostic check and, not surprisingly, finds plenty of faults.
Now, for this myth, we're focusing on the side impact airbags. Will those faults inhibit the system from firing those?
No, they shouldn't.
So the side airbag should still work. Question is, can a lockpick set it off? Remember, the myth states that an airbag inflates with enough force to send a lockpick boring through bone. Grant's robot is wrestled into position.
Okay, just gonna get the tip inserted here. Too dangerous for the whole lockpick. So that's what this myth is all about.
Using the remote control, Grant plunges the lockpick deep into the door.
Okay, so that is as deep as it can go in there.
Finally, Eder, our car thief, ready for a little grand theft auto. His head's placed directly above the lockpick.
That's perfect, man.
It's right under his chin.
Okay.
All right, let's see if you can fire off this airbag.
Okay, guys, lockpick of death. Are you ready?
If this works, we're going to get a lockpick shooting through the guy's skull like a spear, and there's going to be blood and udon everywhere.
Here we go.
Grant goes fishing.
It's got to be really hard to pick a lock when you can't feel or see it yourself.
Nah. I hooked something. Check it out.
Wait. Looks like it got away.
Remember, he's not trying to unlock the door. It's all about triggering the airbag.
You getting frustrated?
Frustration,
Because
yes.
I am.
But the airbag doesn't deploy, and the dummy's chin is still in one piece.
You know, on the surface, this myth does seem feasible. Our researchers found 5 different cases on the internet where this happened. 2 of them were guys trying to steal the cars. 3 of them were cops trying to move cars which were blocking fire escapes.
On closer inspection, though, there's absolutely no hard evidence for one of these stories. There's no news reports, there's no police reports, it's all hearsay.
You know what else? Some of the cars that were mentioned don't even have side airbags.
Dubious at best.
Grant decides to let his robot get rough.
Well, let me get a little bit more vigorous.
Yeah, that's good, because if you were breaking into a car, you probably would be a little more frantic about it.
Grant gives the remote control unit a thorough thumbing, with no result.
I think I've pretty much done the entire range of motion, back and forth, up, down. I think if it was gonna set it off, it would have set off the airbag by now.
I think any fireman would have opened the door by now, and definitely a criminal would have.
Thomas, how come we're not able to set off the airbag?
The airbag's actually inside the car, not inside the door.
Well, what they have to do is... Wait a second. What did you say?
The airbag's actually inside the car, not inside the door.
So you knew this all along, and this is what you're expecting? You watch us bumble around with this?
Yeah, I was pretty certain that the airbag would not deploy.
Well, okay then.
Meanwhile, back at the ranch.
Breaking out of jail. Tell us the story.
Okay. Picture me having been put in jail wrongly by a corrupt sheriff under the pay of a local land baron. I'm rotting away in my cell, and you've got to break me out. So in the middle of the night, you come on your horse, you tie one end of a rope to the bars of my jail cell and the other end of your horse, and you pull the bars right out of my jail cell wall, setting me free.
When you're locked up in a low-down, filthy cell, what are you gonna do? Easy. Tie a rope onto the bars, lasso your horse, and get that trusty steed to back on up. Them bars are just gonna pop on out of the wall, and you're free as a bird. Well, that's how it's done on the silver screen, anyhow.
So where do you want to start with this breaking out of jail myth?
Well, first I think we need to learn a thing or two about Old West jails.
Fair enough. Then we'll replicate what we learned about, put them all to the test.
In fact, there's a historic Old West jail nearby in Monterey.
Let's check it out.
Jesse James Heinemann's come for a peek at a period prison.
Now, this particular one was built in 1854, and I hope we'll learn a thing or two about how these jails were made.
Conducting today's tour, local historian Jim Conway.
We do have a jail that was built between 1854 and 1855, so It's one of the oldest jails in California.
And one of the most secure. It was a state-of-the-art fortress.
Wow, that's a door.
Not one prisoner ever escaped. And you can see why.
These would be the jail windows to the cells.
Those sure ain't windows of opportunity.
Made out of plate steel. There's no bars there.
There's no bars.
Oh, that's a problem.
The roof is actually granite also, and the floor is granite.
So it's like several feet of granite everywhere.
That's correct.
Bummer.
Besides, you'd have to be thinner than a consumptive coyote to squeeze out through there.
This is just a slit. I mean, it's solid granite. There's a slit. There's a bar right here that goes floor to ceiling. And then outside of that, there's plate steel. It's like, you're not getting through this.
Thanks for the look-see, Jim. But the MythBusters might be needing something a little more, well, rustic.
So what'd you come up with on your reconnaissance mission?
There were bars on that jail, but they were on the inside. I mean, there was nothing on the exterior of that jail to tie onto. There's no way a horse is going to do anything.
Well, we are in luck because while you were gone, the researchers found us, I think, something that's ideal for our needs. Fort Dodge, just outside of Dodge City, an original frontier jail built solely out of railroad ties.
Is that it?
That's it. It's got a 1-foot window with 4 steel bars in it. They don't go floor to ceiling. They're only augured in about an inch, inch and a half under the top and the bottom. And as you can see, it's like the perfect size for us.
Works for me.
We can totally build this, and we can totally try and destroy it.
Okay.
The weeds around these parts might not tumble, but this old abandoned military base sure has the feel of a ghost town. That is, till the MythBusters ride.
Yeehaw! Grind 'em, cowboy.
We're gonna build a jail frontier style out of railroad ties. We're gonna auger some bars into a small window, and Jamie and I are gonna try to break out of that jail.
Using authentic building materials, the MythBusters set about replicating the Fort Dodge jail.
All right, so I'm thinking, the jail we're trying to replicate had a window that's about 12 inches square. These beams are just a little over 6 inches high. Window maybe about 18 inches wide, 2 beams high.
Okay.
Yeah, there we go. Now I'm in a rhythm. Woo! Oh my God. I'm gonna be sore tomorrow.
It's basic frontier construction. No mortar, no nails, just a round peg and a round hole.
Now, I know you might be yelling at your TV right now that this doesn't look like a jail that you've been to, but this is an exact replica of the Fort Dodge jail built in 1865. Now, we didn't construct the entire jail. We just constructed one wall, which we braced with steel, but the bars are an accurate spacing, they're accurate size, they're accurate material, and we're gonna try and pull them out of that wall.
For this myth to be true, our horse or horses need to be able to yank these bars out of this window here and create enough of a space for our prisoner to actually escape.
Now, we know from watching countless westerns that a horse is much more than a mode of transport. The cowboy and his horse share an unbridled love. But could they join forces to stage a jailbreak? Luckily, a couple of hombres are willing to let Adam and Jamie use their trusty steeds to test this cowboy cliche.
You must be our cowboy that's gonna help us break out of jail.
That's correct. I'm Old Buckaroo.
Old Buckaroo, Adam?
Ozark Outlaw.
Ozark Outlaw. Who are these guys?
This is Snaky Poo, the Wonder Horse.
Hey, handsome, how you doing? And this guy?
This is Sully. He's a 17-year-old rope horse.
Our own horse whisperer is going to saddle up for the first jailbreak attempt.
I'd love to attach a scale between the bars and you and the horse so I can tell how many pounds of force you're putting on pulling those bars out with the horse.
Okay, well, let's set it up.
All right.
You got it, or you need my help?
Nope, you can stay right there.
All right. Where do you want to go?
Adam throws a rope around the bars and ties the other end to a force gauge. A second rope links the force gauge to Jamie's saddle.
All right, so are we ready?
Whenever you're ready, sir.
Remember, this is what we want to happen. The horse backs up, and it's bye-bye jail bars. Let's see, partners. Can steed beat steel?
All right, let's break me out of jail.
Come on, boy. That's it. Come on.
Jamie gets Snaky Poo to back on up.
Back.
The horse strains against the rope, but those bars ain't so much as bending.
She's only putting about 400 pounds on it.
400 pounds right to the saddle. This, the saddle wants to go one way or another. It's not designed to do anything other than hold a person on there. And it was in the process of pulling the saddle off.
Next up, 2 cowboys on the bars. All right, cowboys, break me out of jail.
We got ourselves 2 lots of heaving horse flesh.
Get out of jail there. Come on, come on.
But it looks like our inmate is staying in for the evening.
Well, we're up to about 500 pounds.
Actually, we just busted 500 pounds.
Maybe we need to use something other than a horse. In
Yes.
fact, I got something over here that I think we can, we might be able to do a little bit more than that.
Jamie wheels out some, yes, you guessed it, modern horsepower.
What we've got here is a machine that actually weighs as much as a single good-sized horse, and we don't have to worry about yanking the saddle off of it or breaking the horse's back or something like that. We can actually get it rolling and jerk on these bars a little.
As long as we're using the power of a horse to break out of jail, we can talk about horsepower, a term invented in 1782 by James Watt, who actually also invented the term the watt, an electrical unit.
Yeah, Watt based his measurement on the amount of work that a horse could do with a millstone or a mill wheel. And it amounted to lifting 33,000 pounds 1 foot in 1 minute.
Now, that's not to say that a single horse is always producing a single horsepower. It's been shown that horses in peak loads for a few seconds can put out as much as 15 horsepower.
Yeah, and for reference, the ATV we were using had about 18 horsepower. The forklift had about 125. And not that it's really relevant, but it's interesting anyway. A human can put out about 0.1 horsepower for a long period of time, about 0.3 if he's an athlete, and put out as much as 1.2 horsepower for a very brief period.
So now that we're all clear on horsepower, the rope is attached to the all-terrain vehicle, and Jamie digs in his spurs.
What was that?
Well, you got up to 900 pounds, but then the rope broke. I think we're gonna need a stronger rope.
900 pounds. That's almost twice the amount of horse force our 4-legged friends were able to generate.
The better blue rope.
This rope is rated for 6,000 pounds.
Okay.
Whenever you're ready.
Seems like the guys are just spinning their wheels.
What did we get up to?
I think we broke 1,000 pounds there. I think you put like 1,200 pounds on it. Well, our modern 4x4 horseless carriage was able to put on well more than double the amount of pulling force that 2 horses did. And still, our jail is in place. And we exceeded what our scale can measure. So it's time to bump up to a new scale. And we have one more vehicle, I think, which we can test this myth with. I think this ought to do. So the sling on the bar is rated 16,000 pounds. The scale can measure for 20,000 pounds.
That thing weighs about 28,000 pounds.
I'd say we've got enough force to apply to this myth.
Cowboys had their horses. Jamie has a giant mechanical workhorse. Will this rip out the bars and set our friend free? The sling goes taut. Once again, the bars don't buckle. But the steel beams supporting the wall do.
Those bars aren't going anywhere.
And the whole structure starts to come down.
The wall failed at 4,000 pounds, and the bars haven't budged.
4,000 pounds is a lot of horses. That's a lot more than what we see in the movies.
Well, this is the most makeshift jail that our researchers could turn up for this myth. Well, I guess I'm still stuck in jail. My avocado crop's gonna rot.
Whoa, not so fast, Adam. We're not ready to give up on a Wild West prison break just yet. After trying in vain to trigger some airbag bloodshed with a lockpick,
What is it doing?
The MythBusters have discovered that a side airbag is not actually inside the car door. It's in the car, hidden behind the upholstery.
This is the airbag.
Okay, well, it seems that jiggling around the lockpick isn't enough to set off the airbag. This one is looking busted.
Not so fast. Now, we know that airbags are set off by impact. What if the crook is creating his own impact? Like he gets really mad and starts kicking the door.
That is a great idea. But I think it's too dangerous for any one of us to kick the door. So what I'll do is I'll modify the sword swinging rig and turn it into a kicking machine.
Yeah, super kicking rig. Yeah.
I like it.
So, scenario B. Unable to break into the car, our frustrated felon kicks the door, and that impact triggers the airbag, really giving him a problem to get his head around. This air-powered rig has been used to swing swords and heft hammers. Now, the shoe's on the other foot.
Who's gonna lose their teeth today? We need to make sure our rig is calibrated to what a human can actually kick.
Carrie and Tori take turns sinking the boot into a force plate.
Anytime, actually. That's, you peaked at 485 newtons.
Imagine what a guy could do if I had steel toes.
You ready?
Yep.
Ooh, that's a good one.
You peaked at 1,056 newtons, more than twice what Carrie did.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
I think I might have done twice as much damage to my foot.
1,000 newtons of force. That's what the kick rig has to match. Air pressure of 25 pounds per square inch will get the job done.
So we're gonna keep the head in place, we're gonna keep the lockpick in place, and now we're gonna bring in a machine to do a little kicking.
Is 1,000 newtons of force enough to set off a side airbag? Is the lockpick about to burrow into our dummy's brain? They're about to take a punt. Well, the rig is.
Here we go, in 3, 2, 1. Oh, we just dented the car door.
The airbag didn't deploy, the lockpick didn't launch. That dummy's still got his head together, man.
I say we ramp it up from 25 to 125. Yeah.
So way beyond anything any human could possibly do.
Superhuman.
Carrie ups the air pressure to 125 psi.
Oh, we're closing in on 100.
That boot's about to get 5 times more forceful.
What happened?
Nothing.
Did he kick himself in the head?
The car might not be intact, but the car thief's only a little shaken up.
Well, kicking the door does not set off the airbag.
In any way at all. And that was its superhuman strength.
As a last resort, they rigged the airbag to go off remotely, with the lockpick and the dummy in position, just to see what would happen.
2, 1.
And there you have it. Lockpick and airbag are not in the same vicinity.
It takes an automotive impact of tremendous strength. There's no human way to do it. You need to strike the vehicle with G-forces in excess of 8 Gs. That's a lot of energy.
So this one's double busted. And not only can a lockpick not set off a side impact airbag, but an impact from a human can't set it off either.
Well, the airbag is deploying inside the car. The direction is not up towards the lockpick, so the lockpick would never get launched into your skull. It's busted.
Well, that means it's my favorite part of the myth. This is where we get to replicate the results. I did not make those brains for nothing.
So to pick our car thief's brain once and for all, the plan is to, yes, build an air cannon that'll fire that lockpick straight into the dummy's skull.
To get this lockpick up to lethal velocity, we're going to need as much air as possible going through here as quickly as we can.
The lockpick is set in a foam sabot, which fits snugly down the barrel.
All right, load her in.
There's a chance that the barrel itself might explode.
Once again, the dummy's gonna lead with his chin. He's lined up directly over the barrel.
I would say let's strap it.
Nah, that's good, dude. It's perfect.
Ouch! If that lockpick launches, it just can't miss. But will it be able to pierce solid bone? The cannon's primed with maximum air pressure, 125 psi. Will that be enough to blow the dummy's mind?
This is Lockpick of Death, the final blow.
Here we go. In 3, 2, 1.
Straight up through the top of the head. Dude, it's totally curved to his skull.
Oh, that is it.
It's dripping blood.
That's what you wanted.
I know that an airbag won't do that, but I
Hey.
guess an air gun will.
If ever there was a MythBusters experiment that does what it says on the tin, this is it. The skull is skewered.
Looks like it took 125 psi for me to meet my demise. Now that's so far out of the realm of reality, it's just ridiculous.
Yeah, you know, the whole idea of, you know, in the middle of breaking into a car, the airbag going off and launching the lockpick into your head, I mean, it's just busted.
It's busted.
It's busted like me.
Outside of a cinema, there's no way a horse can muster enough horsepower to pull the bars clean out of the jail wall.
Maybe we need to use something other than a horse.
But Adam and Jamie haven't given up hope of staging a breakout.
Those bars aren't going anywhere.
In their final Western myth, they'll try to remove the bars using a stick of dynamite. Question is, can you blow a hole in the wall that's big enough to crawl through without harming the incarcerated cowboy?
Well, we've come out to the Alameda County Sheriff's bomb range to do this experiment. And we're going to build a real frontier jail. 3 walls. The last wall, you know, is for the bars, the sheriff's office. Out of railroad ties, and we're going to try out the equivalent of a stick of dynamite and see if that'll break me out.
Explosives expert Sergeant J.D. Nelson has grave doubts about this movie myth. And I mean grave.
Well, I think you could definitely get in the jail. Now, whether you can do that without killing somebody that's in the cell is a whole other story.
Well, that's what we're here to find out.
Once again, they'll base their design on the Fort Dodge jail. Things are moving quicker than a whiskey shot along a saloon bar. Before you know it, they've built themselves 3 walls and a barred window.
This is like a really cool sadistic playhouse. Percentages on dynamite breaking your friend out of prison? I don't think it's gonna, well, hey, get back in there. All right. I don't think it's gonna work, personally. I give it about a 20% chance of actually working, a 60% chance of damaging the wood until we have to replace it, and a 20% chance that something we did not foresee will flummox us completely. Get back in there!
For this myth to be true, we need to blow out these bars or the window around them without killing the guy inside the jail, and we need to create a big enough hole that he can actually fit through it.
Obviously, neither Adam or Jamie will be in the cell when the charge goes off.
I'm come to bust you out, little buddy. You just sit tight and plug your ears.
It'll be Buster's job to get banged up. It looks like the vigilantes have already got to him.
Buster, if you don't want to do the time, you don't do the crime.
Now, if you were in a jail cell and dynamite was about to go off at the window, where would be the safest spot?
I think we should turn him over and have him sitting up in the corner. That's where I'd want to be if there was dynamite coming in the window, like against this wall, don't you think?
Yeah.
Buster should be out of the firing line if the cell's showered with shrapnel. Shock watch stickers on his chest and head will measure the force of the blast. Red registers a shock of 50 Gs, which is survivable. Orange is a bone-splintering 75 Gs. Green trips at a lethal 100 Gs.
50, 75, and 100, all inside of his face. So the theory here is if he sustains any kind of lethal shockwave G load, we should be able to see it in the shock watch stickers.
That's it.
Our stick of dynamite isn't actually dynamite. It's a secret explosive compound that's more stable than the real thing.
Right, it has the same properties as dynamite, it has the same feet per second. In fact, I even have it disguised as dynamite.
The charge is laid.
Don't you try and break out now.
And the team hightails it to a safe distance. Will Buster be busted out of jail, or will our detainee be detonated?
Okay, We're gonna blow ourselves out of jail with one stick of dynamite in 3, 2, 1.
Look at that. Well, the jail's still there.
The jail is definitely still there.
Let's go look.
Let's check it out. What do you think? You think the bars are still there?
The blast doesn't look to have done a whole lot of damage. Not by MythBusters standards, anyway.
Some of those bars are coming out of there.
Dude, wait. Don't pull from there.
Why?
Let's see if I can get out from inside. One bar, gone.
Adam makes like Doc Holliday pulling out some loose teeth.
There you go. That's it. Okay, here you go. Now, I'm gonna try and climb out. Here, take my hat.
The bars may be gone, but is that wide open space wide enough for Adam's abdomen?
How much were you going to bet me whether you can get through there or not?
This is gonna be tough.
It's that prison food that's kind of fattened you up. All those beans.
So one stick of dynamite is enough to loosen the bars. And it is possible, eventually, to make it out through the window.
Well, I could totally get out now.
That's 2 ticks for the myth.
Okay, move forward over here.
Yeah. Form a little table for him.
All right.
Okay.
Freedom!
Hey!
Yes! That was some nice precision demolition there, dude.
But hold your horses, guys. Remember, for this myth to be confirmed, Buster has to have survived that explosion, right?
Buster's totally dead, dude. That's the 100G trip. He did not survive.
He took 100 to the face and he took 75 to the chest.
I'm sorry, Buster.
The concussive force of a single stick of dynamite has saved the hangman the trouble.
You have to keep in mind also that we just barely blew out those bars. That was precision demolition.
Yeah.
You could not have him escape through that hole with any less explosion, and that explosion killed him. This actually worked perfectly. It worked just like we planned, but in my mind, this is silly as heck. You killed your buddy, and furthermore, with all this ordeal with dynamite and, noise and potentially killing your buddy, it would have taken me about 5 minutes with an axe to dig a hole like this.
Like a frontier town, our final cowboy myth has gone from boom to bust.
So breaking out of an Old West jail turned out to be harder than we thought, huh?
Yeah, personally, I'd rather have one of these than anything that we tried.
Yeah, as far as ropes go, 1 horse didn't work, 2 horses didn't work, and even our 30,000-pound hauler didn't successfully remove the bars from the wall.
Yeah, and we chose our design of a frontier jail as specifically the one that was most vulnerable to having its bars pulled out.
Yep, and explosives, they removed the bars okay, but...
You're not leaving that jail through the window, you're leaving in a pine box.
Yeah, myth busted.
So our 2 techniques that you've seen in the movies for busting your buddy out of jail, totally busted.